The idea is the analogy that we're going to take today, that it's not about, how good you are, and, it's just about like how good can you become. And if you're a trainer, coach, and therapist, and you want to understand how you can become that best version, I think today is the right discussion for you guys. And stay tuned till all the way up to the end. Speaking from my journey, I was a very big enthusiastic, and I thought, I started my journey as a trainer, and before that I was into core sales. And when I came into the field of trainer, I had really good mentors, and some of my mentors were all those people who were living abroad, who had successful, a good business structure in terms of training, coaching, and interventions, therapies, for example, complementary, and also alternative therapy. Yeah, that's the right term. So for example, like hypnotherapy and timeline therapy interventions. What is your first thing when you think about training, coaching, and therapy? The vibe that comes inside is that I want to basically help people. Raise your hand if you've ever had that feeling, I want to help people. And that's kind of like, the main sense that basically comes in. And that's the first perspective that really, works for individuals. And I do really understand that, people love helping others, and helping others does not equal to training. Helping others does not equal to coaching. Helping others does not equal to therapy. It does somehow is a very core essence of it, but it's not as equals to that. The real analogy is, are we looking forward to improving individuals' quality of life? Are we really empowering them, giving them substantial skills and knowledge, and disseminating the toolkit that they require to feel empowered and take new empowering decisions? That is equals to training, that is equals to coaching, and that is equals to being a world-class therapist, helping the clients to go from the current state of being to the state of new way of behaving, or a state that they could basically embark on. If you can create that transition, I think that's a very good career set that we could basically select for ourselves. So we're going to look at steps to transforming yourself. Guys, I'm going to give you all that I have personally learned in my entire journey, to so far. So we're going to be talking about that. Primarily, when you want to basically venture out in terms of coaching, therapy, or training, what one thing really is important and is greatly neglected, and we may also take it into a very wrong direction, and that's the aspect of motivation. And I want to touch base on motivation because it's really sad to see that these are some of the senior contributors in the society, and they're senior trainers, and they say, oh, motivation kuch bhi nahi hota. Motivation is just a bubble. Motivational trainers don't really produce results. Well, to an extent, in a degree, they may be sure, they may be right, but that has to be put into context, right? Now, the essence of motivation is important for all disciplines. No matter even if you're, educationist, no matter even if you're a teacher, if you're, let's say a salesperson, motivation is an important driver. And we want to put that into the right placement and not go about, criticizing every single person. See, one wrongdoing of a person, one wrongdoing of a man does not equate to the industry. So let's please first, get rid of those labels. It's just basically generalizing that there are some motivational trainers out there. Well, yeah, they're doing the best that they can to their abilities. And just like you guys are doing the best that you can to your sense of abilities. Now, motivation is important for two prime reasons. Number one, I have to be motivated. I need to be driven. And you got to basically, even if you're having a thought of becoming a coach, trainer, or therapist, make sure you guys are motivated. Now, what I mean by motivated is that you can produce, that call to action, call for action, because you're going to be required to invest your time and space, energy, and matter into things and creating that portfolio for yourself. So for sure, it is going to be required. There are going to be people who are going to put you down. There are going to be people who are going to criticize you. There are going to be people with, high-end tech equipment that maybe you look up to and say, oh man, I could never, basically do this, or, I cannot do that. I want you to get rid of all those limiting beliefs and to understand that you need to remain motivated in order to have that persistence to basically achieving your desired results in the area area that you would want to grow. And the other thing that motivation really does, if you're motivated, you guys would be able to create experiences. And I think that's phenomenal, right? We would really want to have the sense of experiences to being shared out. So we want to have that entire sense of motivation. Now, in terms of trainers, you guys would want to basically understand that we're going to be not becoming full-time motivational speakers. Now, it's good, we could talk about like Steve Jobs did this, Bill Gates did this, but that's all pure motivation. It's really cool if you're using it for pumping the audience to take more call for action. That's a good thing, and you should include some motivational stories into your talks. But purely when you're talking about training, it's more about skills and knowledge. So skills and knowledge. And when I say knowledge, that means also the formation of basically the ability to train other people, So that's what we're going to understand. Now, if you guys are starting off and if you're wanting to go onto your trainer journey, sure, yes, training accreditation courses do help. Now, somebody would say, well, I'm not a certified trainer. You don't have to be a certified trainer to be a trainer. Now, when you do a certification program, it is important that you have the right toolkit. Toolkit is important because that's you developing your skill set, so I love it. I mean, if you ask me personally, I've done a lot of, train the trainer modules. I've been certified from UK Aid facilitation program, from British Council train the trainer programs for youth. I've done my train the trainer from Navides. Some of my good, budding trainers, who were really proven as mentors were Kamran Rizvi, Nadeem Chauhan, Farhad Garmali, and they really helped me to shape my initial stage, but I didn't stop from there. Then I went on to international trainers. So I experienced people like Adriana James, Ted James, Sebastian, and I kept on progressing to understand different modalities and expand on that toolkit. That's really, really important. What it does, it builds that inner trust within yourself and confidence that you have more tools to work with. And what we would want to really also focus on is, do you have the stamina? Now let's talk about stamina. How many of you guys have, done training sessions? So, some of you may have done 1, 2, or maybe you might have, been on and off, you've been training. What I really mean by stamina is that how long can you go on, training on a specific skill set? When would you really exhaust your content? So that's what you got to take into account. Let me give you an example. Let's say you were training, the employees for a certain organization. Let's say it's Arslan Larik and Company. And I hired you as a trainer, and I said that I would want you to train my employees on sales. And on sales, I would want to be very specific that I would want you to help them with closing the sales. Now, how much could you talk or basically disseminate skill areas, specifically skill and yes, knowledge, stats and informations and infographics, and yes, a little bit of motivation? How long could you do that for my team members? Now, if you're basically doing a training program in terms of, let's say, specifically, that's going to be in terms of closing the sales, and you decide that you're going to train and your content is over in about 1 hour. Now, that basically would be a problematic area because within 1 hour, if your content is exhausted, then you wouldn't really know how to utilize the entire set of day from 9 to 6. So what you would really want is to revisit your toolkit. Does your toolkit allow you to basically go around developing and polishing that skill? Now, that skill basically could be done in facilitative style, it could be done in blended style, it could be done in terms of training style, and some people also do it in terms of teaching style, which is okay. Those are, some of the fashions as to how you would want to train, but important is that, how much of content delivery do you have with that? And that comes with experience, that comes with trial and error, that comes with reading, that comes with upgrading your portfolio, that comes with a lot of exposure. So if you guys are into training, that's what I would want to help you to develop. So increase your stamina. On the topic of fundamental of interventions and therapeutic interventions, I have basically mapped myself and I thought I could really go 90 days non-stop. So every day from 9 to 6, if I had to train, and most of my participants have been in my training, I could go on for 90 days on a specific tool and technique and disseminate more skill set. And I'm every single day advances more and more for my clients. So that's they're basically creating even more transformation, even more breakthrough. If you see you're progressing in your content, then that's a great signal, and that's somewhere where you should consider specializing in a particular area. So if you want to become a trainer, select your area, draw a boundary as to which content would you really be wanting to be known for in terms of training. Now, also, along with the stamina, what we would want to have is patience, because it's not like, today you decide to become a trainer, you're going to get 1,000 calls, hey, hi, assalamu alaikum, I want a training from you. Now, that doesn't really happen. So you got to create your brand awareness. You got to basically be out there, pitching your product and making sure that you're really selling and people buy into, they really believe, they really, get into the accountability that you do produce results. Highlight that word, producing results. Producing results is the number one thing that the companies are going to judge you on, or they're going to basically speculate, in terms of hiring you as a trainer. And then you're going to also want to develop yourself in terms of handling difficult audience. And that's important. So understand how to work with wide variety of audiences. Now, when I say difficult audience, that does not mean, you're basically only focusing on what does difficult audience means at a depth level. You got to basically go around and experiment, see which target audience is your area. So what this would mean is that you got to select a niche. What is your specific niche? You would basically know about those if you were chunked down into understanding what your topic area is. If you know your specialized area, you would be able to analyze those needs. If it's industry that you're working with or the topics that you're choosing in, it's going to become extremely difficult for you to measure how you're going to create that transformation for your set of clients. I cannot wake up one fine day and say, I'm going to be training on all areas. I'm going to be a sales trainer. I'm going to be a, negotiation trainer. I'm going to be a customer services. Well, there are people who fit into all categories, but we want to basically be specialized, right? We want to have our niche. It's just like if you have your YouTube channel. Now, if you go to my YouTube channel, what we're sequencing it's only for trainers, coaches, and therapists. That's a niche, so that's the area that I would want to focus on. And we want people, those who are facet, they're into coaching, they're also training, coaching products, and they're also interventionist or therapist. Now, that's a target audience that I've built. Now, if it's specialized, that's a great thing. My YouTube channel is going to perform, my digital presence is going to grow in that particular area. But tomorrow, if I want to speak about, how do I like spending my day? And maybe if I want to talk about how to bake cakes, and that's not gonna work. So you got to basically be working around in those particular areas. So see how you could, develop yourself into a particular niche that you're going to be training in. And how do you do that? Think about certain examples that you could take into account for yourself. Let's try to put this into perspective. What we would want you guys to do is think about, think about how many training sessions can you acquire. So when I started off, I tried, working with, children. And so I went to Montessori's. I literally went to, grade 1, 2, 3, 4, adolescents, and I started training them. And I realized that I really wasn't connecting really well over there. So that was trial and error experience. And I said, maybe I need to polish my certain skill sets, but I don't have that right exposure. And I wasn't a parent at that time. I didn't have children of my own. So yeah, that did become, an obstacle. Although no matter how many books I read, I could not resonate with that target audience. So then I experimented to going towards, A and O grad school, training, and then the connection bond was resonating. And then I started also figuring out with corporate sector, and I felt that that's where the maximum connection was built. Now, why was that happening? That was because I had substantially produced results in corporate sector. And when that combines with your niche, you have more examples to give, you can relate more to the topic, and you can disseminate information that is more grounded and working for you. So that's what it means to becoming a trainer. So I would really want you guys to share some, areas about yourself and work around that. So those are a few things that we would want to take into focus in terms of training. Make sure to basically hit that subscribe, like, and share button. Do visit our YouTube channel, and you can just Google Arslan Larik. That's just pretty much it that you would really require to do. This would basically help us to create more content, and we can remain as a community. I'm doing this for you guys. The closer that we work together, the closer that we could basically bond, and we could basically understand more innovative ways of helping the people who are really in need out there, right? So thank you, and I'll be signing off right now. Thank you for your time, guys. Love you all.